why is it that you want to be the one to clean your own meat?
So you get your own meat back and not pig lips and buttholes.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Free Range 6M podcast. Today we got Tristan back in the building, and we got my cousin Alex Costanza. I've been blessed with a couple good weekends of deer hunting and whatnot, and got Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And we have a lot to be thankful for. A lot of good meat in the freezer, you know. So let's get to Alex. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you're about, where you come from. Let's get it started.
Okay. I am originally from Lone Jack, Missouri, born and raised. Went to school there my whole life, K through 12. I could tell you everybody's birthday, their middle name, their favorite color. I had a graduating class of 37. My parents were thrilled that I finished top 50, except for we had 37. So when I finished up in Lone Jack, I spent a lot of my first part of my young adult life in Marshall, Missouri, where I competed on the wrestling team and the baseball team, which is where I actually met this knucklehead here. We became pretty good buddies. When I finished up with that, I started trying to rodeo, and now I'm trying to just enjoy life one day at a time, hunting and fishing, and trying to dive into my faith a little more and trying to grow up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So what draws you in on the hunting and fishing, the outdoors?
It was something that my dad and I started doing from a young age. It was like our first way of bonding. Before you could play organized sports, your dad could pack you over his shoulder into the deer woods or the turkey woods, and some of my earliest memories are of my dad doing just that, packing me over his shoulder and sitting somewhere for 15 minutes and going, "Daddy, my feet are cold," and him being like, "Sit still, goddamn it," but it's not one of those things that you decide if you like. You do it and you're hooked. I some days feel like God put me on earth to bow hunt. It's crazy, and then I don't see deer, and I'm like, oh, okay, time to find a new hobby. I suck at this.
Yeah. Well, shit, we seen a lot of deer this last weekend. Shit ton of deer.
Yeah, saw you guys
spots.
did good. Yeah.
The old Sniper's Mound. We seen a ton of deer. That first morning, it was a pretty good morning, besides being bitter cold.
It was pretty cold.
But able to come back to a nice warm campfire.
How cold did it get up there?
I don't know. It was low 20s, I think.
Yeah, when we woke up, it was probably about that.
Yeah.
It was cold. I thought maybe we were already used to it because we camped outside. I think that might have helped a little bit.
That was a lie.
Well, so we hunted core ground because you said it got like crazy cold, and I never checked the temperature. I just dressed because I knew it was going to be cold, but we hunted core ground, so maybe that's why I didn't get cold, because we only had to hike 9 miles. You had to wear a Kevlar vest, and there was orange everywhere. So
yeah, we only drove side by side, 50 yards from the stand that first morning.
Damn, you guys had it rough.
Yeah, it was a rough go.
It was pretty fucking cold though.
It absolutely was. But I made JJ walk all the way back the last night. It's probably why we've seen so many deer.
Man,
too.
This guy's a hard ass.
Yeah.
He has to walk that far.
I know. It was like 50 yards.
50?
50 yards.
Too much.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. We took down some doe and found a good spot.
Made a lot of plans for next year.
Yeah.
That was up at the farm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up at Chad's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know you've hunted core ground. Have you ever hunted core ground? Let me tell you about core ground. So I haven't hunted since I was a kid, and I don't remember a whole lot from when I was a kid, other than it's public land that's available to everybody.
Everybody, emphasized everybody.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, all the out-of-state guys come, and they just, it's opening day. You need a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
And it's a war zone. Yeah. But we were traveling everywhere by boat. So my buddy Jarrett, his dad has a lake house, and he was like, "Hey man, we haven't had deer camp in a long time." And I said, "Yeah, I've been missing it. Let's have a deer camp." So we went down and we stayed at the lake house, and we had great food and good company, and drank more beer than I could look at. But we were hunting with boats. So Jarrett dropped us off Saturday night on a little sandbar down at Truman Lake. I think it was right outside of Windsor Landing. I can't remember the name, but he said when we finish up tonight, it'll probably be, it's 30 minutes in the daytime by boat. So at night it's going to be, even more.
Longer.
So he said, just figure on an hour. And I said, okay, no problem. We'll hang out on the bank. So we walk a mile into the woods. We sit down, we hunt. We see guys set up literally 150 yards from us. I mean, I took my hat at one point, put on my gun, and just started waving it across the field. And guys would pack up their things and leave. And anyway, so we get done hunting that night, and we walked a mile back to the sandbar, and we waited for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, I better call him to make sure he's on his way. And so I did, and he's like, hey, my boat's stuck in the mud. You guys ought to just start walking. I'm like, dude. So I bet we hiked it, me and my buddy Joe, every bit of 2 miles through terrain I wasn't familiar. I mean, it's just the Ozarks, right? But it's, at night, that shit's kind of eerie.
Yeah.
Not to mention, my buddy Joe likes to pack 300 pounds of shit in, and every time we do, he somehow finagles me into carrying half of it. So
100-pound man packs about $300.
Yeah, exactly.
Pounds
So
worth
I've got
stuff.
this backpack, ghost blind, my gun, fanny pack, all sorts of shit. And we packed it out of there 2 miles, and we finally get to the interstate. And I mean, it looks like a scene in a scary movie. I'm out of breath and look like we've been chased. And so we find our way to the parking lot, and there's a truck parked there that wasn't there before. So there was my truck that I drove, and there was Jarrett's who hauled the boat there. And there was some guy, I was like, who's this asshole parked like this? So I take my flashlight, boom, spotlight this dude for a solid 30 seconds. And Joe's like, man, I think somebody's in there. About that time, door opens and a flashlight right back at us. And all I see is that conservation agent blue shirt. Evening, gentlemen. I was like, oh, shit. So, of course, old Smokey, he checked us out. And he I think he felt bad for us. He asked about, where are you guys coming from? What's going on? I told him the story, and he was like, guys, hope tomorrow's better for you. And I was like, thanks.
Or was a rescue boat.
Yeah. No, he offered to go get our buddy, but by that point, he miraculously got unstuck from the mud. But the funniest part was when he got back to the house, he walked in nothing but his underwear because he was wet up to his chest because he had to get out. And, so talking about cold, that dude was cold. He had an hour boat ride back.
Yeah, he was able to dry off.
Talk about being dedicated to hunting. I would have called my mom and been like, Mom, call the choppers, I'm done.
We kind of had a similar experience this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, what were we out doing even?
We were out just driving around looking at the property and enjoying, Chad's out there showing us the whole property since I'd never been there.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, but Chad and my dad, they were fucking wasted.
Yeah.
So
they don't drink.
That's,
Do they?
A little bit.
So we're out driving around on all these, driving the levee roads and stuff, checking out. He's just showing me everything, showing me where the stands are at, stuff like that, and just getting kind of a feel for the property. And we're listening to a bunch of music, and we're outside looking at one of the tree stands, and all of a sudden we go to start Chad's truck, and Chad's truck.
Is it a Dodge?
Shit. No, it was a Chevy. Oh, he was in there beating that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He beat that thing up like it was a damn side-by-side, too.
Chad finally came to his senses.
Oh, yeah. I mapped it out, and it was a 2-mile walk back. I was like, oh, yeah. His dad's over there. He's like, oh, yeah, this is great. Like, I don't know about you. Me and JJ been outside for the past day and a half, you know, not freezing our asses off or anything.
They were what's called whiskey warm.
Yeah.
He's
like, oh, no, this is great. This is family bonding. Speak for yourself, old man.
Yeah.
So what, you guys have obviously done a shit ton of hunting over the years. What's the craziest story that you got? You got any?
There's gotta be categories.
Yeah.
One is with our cousin Taylor. My dad took us when we were kids. He actually took us to Chad's.
Uh-huh.
And Taylor stayed with us in our hotel room we had that night. I think Dad went to go play cards or something or do something.
Yeah.
It was before they lived up there.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. So, I think Chad might have gone home and Taylor wanted to hang out with me or whatever. But we were alone in this hotel room at like 10 years old. And all of our folks were down the hallway playing cards, but we're sitting there watching like the late night show, eating pizza, and all of a sudden we hear a headboard slamming against the wall. And we hear this lady just, "Oh, John." Oh, I mean, just,
going at it.
that was like the first craziest thing I can think of. But like I said, there's categories. Like that was the funniest, craziest thing. But the other craziest thing was when we went down to Papa Joe and Meemaw's lake house at Sterrett Creek.
Mm-hmm.
There was core ground behind this guy's house, and my dad asked if we could walk through his yard to hunt it.
Yeah.
I mean, just asked. And he was like, "Hell no, you guys ain't coming." I mean, he used way worse language, but I'm just going to be professional about it. Long story short, he told us no, but then he came back, and I guess he must have had like a pint of whiskey in him or something, because my dad's a stout guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he had already been in his face once about it. Dad was like, "Oh, sorry we pissed in your Cheerios." Dude comes back. And this time he's got a loaded revolver, and he presses it to his forehead, and he's just screaming at my dad. And I'm a little kid. I'm inside the house just watching this unfold. And the whole time my dad's like 10 toes down, just staring at this dude, like just
goddamn,
waiting for him to slip, And anyway, dude, I don't even know why it happened, to be honest with you. It was nuts. I mean, it was the craziest thing. Cops came, they arrested him. They let the dude out the same night. I was like, dude, what? So we had to go get a hotel room, and I won't say deer season was ruined because we still hunted that weekend, but man, that's like just one of 100 stories. I know you've got some good ones. I've heard half of yours.
Going along the same lines, we were down there at Truman. We got a lake house down there, and we had a couple guys down for a fishing trip, and we were setting up a fire. I was out there with a couple of buddies that are my age, and our dads are inside cooking or getting stuff prepped, for a fire and cooking. We're hearing some yelling in the woods. And, we own 7 acres just right around that, and I'm like, man, that's odd, for somebody to be yelling. But it's the meth heads and stuff like that. It's kind of you're kind of used to it, but just not out there. And
they're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal down by the lake.
The yelling gets closer, and then we're like, oh, this guy needs help.
Yeah.
Just this dude screaming like profanities and stuff in the woods, and so there's a little church right out there in front of our that's got a connected driveway to our place, and it. Long story short, we ended up, this dude's like threatening to kill us, stuff like that. So, call the cops. Somehow the dispatcher messes up with whatever we had said. And this is probably, I don't know, 45 minutes later, the Warsaw dispatch, everybody comes out, and there's 10 cops out there running around with flashlights and stuff. And we come out of the house, and they've got us at gunpoint. And we're all hands up, and come out there, and we're being interrogated. And I put my hands in my pocket, and one of them guys points his gun at me, and he's like, "Take your fucking hands out of your pockets, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, holy shit. So come to find out, the dispatcher.
Dude, if they would have shot you, I would have looted Bass Pro 100%.
Right?
Yeah. I would have straight up burned some shit and looted Bass Pro.
Why lives matter.
Not yours, but anyway.
And so they come to find out, the dispatcher totally relayed the wrong message and said it was a domestic disturbance, and it was a dad that was beating his kids.
It's a group of gay guys out in the woods.
I mean, just totally completely wrong stuff.
They're like, "This is the third time this month, Tristan."
Yeah, I'm sorry. But there's, like Alex said, there's a couple different parts of crazy. Dad and I, farm that we owned. Dad got. I was a youth hunter, and Dad. We're sitting underneath a cedar tree, and guy shoots, in which it's too thick. You had to know what you were shooting at. You had to be 70 yards, if that, away from whatever you're shooting at to be, even able to shoot.
Yeah.
And the neighbor shoots right in front of Dad's head, and right over the top of mine. Just a total ordeal. And there's a lot to go along with that. But one of my craziest favorite stories is my grandpa used to own a little acre in town, and I used to hunt it, and I shot a doe. There was this homeless tent that was set up right by my tree stand, and I called my dad, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I should hunt. And he's like, go hunt. And he's like, what do you, and So I shoot this doe, and it's like 10, 15 yards from this homeless guy's tent. I don't think anybody's in it. Like, I'm like, no, yeah, they come and go. Nope, about dark, I see a little light pop on. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, I just stuck, there's like a luminol glowing in the ground, and I'm like, I gotta get down and go find this deer.
Just shot the homeless guy's dog.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I gotta get up and like go find this deer, and I'm like, I don't know what this homeless guy's capable of. This guy
walked up on a 30-pound German Shepherd.
Yeah, gave him the old slock, and that's there's endless stories on that kind of stuff, but
yeah, it's wild.
Never know what you're gonna run into, especially in the Warsaw Bottoms.
Yeah, fucking Warsaw. It's
crazy part of the world.
Yeah.
So glad it exists.
Yeah.
But crazy part of the world.
Yeah. So through this season this year, opening weekend there was 90 plus thousand deer taken down. What do you what's that in correlation of? Like what would you guys like, economy, you think more people are just out there trying to bring meat in for the family, or you think that has anything to do with it?
That and extended seasons. I mean, it's given a lot of people a lot more opportunities. Like the extended youth season goes on this upcoming weekend. There's the extended CWD season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that number just from opening weekend, or is that like total? Up
No,
to this
it was
point?
total.
Was it?
No, so the 90,000. I think it was said today. I looked at it, it was either 200,000 or 300,000.
It was
got killed.
It was like $60,000 opening morning and 30,000 does or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And,
yeah, that's fucking.
But
nuts.
I think it's a lot more people that I think once COVID happened, like a lot of people went kind of, oh shit, people started like raising chickens. The amount of people that like had chickens like after that, and they always say like the chickens are the way the conspiracy theorists like, it's that's your
sheep.
Yeah,
they own
your
sheep.
Starting
Trust
deal.
me.
The ball starts rolling in your head on that stuff, and you're like, man, like these are so much bigger, so much healthier. And you start looking at it and you start thinking about it, and then you're like, oh, by the time you realize it, you're starting to prep for stuff. And I think a lot of people like they went out and outdoors and finally went, oh wow, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, or man, I'd really like to extend myself out into this. And
that's what I was gonna say is everyone I've ever talked to who doesn't hunt,
they got interest in it.
Yeah, I mean, like I asked a guy at work yesterday. First time I met him, seemed just like guy like me, and I'm like, so you a big deer hunter? He's like, man, never been, but I've always wanted to.
He said, my family owns 1,000 acres.
Yeah, and I was like, do we just become best friends?
Yeah.
We're gonna do karate in the garage and then maybe go hunting. But no, I mean, everyone I talk to, it's the same answer. I've never been, but I've always wanted to.
Yeah, or even people like city people that they're like, oh man, that's so cool. Like people they like never would, even if they didn't want to. They think it's cool.
I make fun of it, and I'm not gonna like my high horse because everyone starts somewhere. But I think that when they brought crossbows into the archery season, that made it more accessible to people who didn't.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, because they're like, I started shooting a compound bow when I was 4. I mean, I had like.
Yeah, every kid had the...
Yeah, right? But for people who didn't have that, the guys that have always wanted to go but never been...
Oh, yeah, you can just go
get a
Shields
crossbow,
Academy, whatever.
They can put a little 60-yard scope on it, and they can start sighting it in, and it took nothing. And I think that's great because, our population is insane. Missouri's deer population is out of control, and from what they put out, I don't know if that's factual because, like my farm, I'm like...
Oh, where's the deer?
I was seeing 30 a night last year, and I'm seeing maybe 2 this year.
Yeah, when you hear the neighbors, pow, 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 you're like, man.
In mid-April, I'm like, that wasn't a shotgun, and it's turkey season. But, I do know that there's a lot of pressure from auto insurance companies to get rid of the deer. I know it's costing them money. And then I think things like he said, there's extended seasons, making it easier for someone who wants to learn, who wants to try it to get started, which I think is great. I think it's great.
So on TikTok, we posted a bunch of those just like short videos and shit. Or like, people got tons of comments flooding in about like things that Missouri should do to make this, just help the season in different ways.
I created like 9 fake accounts just so I can give my opinion.
Yeah.
kidding.
So like one of them was like moving to like a one buck state. Is that a good idea? Is that
That's what I've been saying since
I
started
think
on
that's
that
what-
stuff. I mean,
And I agree, but I don't know if like my science will back that opinion because I'm not a trophy hunter, but I think you and I are on the same page about this.
yeah, I was gonna say,
if
I've
we're gonna-
killed 10 deer this year. I'm not a trophy
But
hunter
if we're
either.
gonna harvest an animal, like I want it to be mature. I want it to have like lived its life and served its purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what's frustrating is, when I first started hunting, it was kind of like you got a shot and you took it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you were happy with it.
Yeah.
My big thing now is like you get a lot of people that they shoot something. Oh man, you always hear the story. Oh, it wasn't really what I wanted, but I took the shot anyways. Or it's a.
I think he's calling me out.
Yeah, somebody.
I think he's calling me out.
No, and
It's the first year
Yeah.
ever that I didn't take a picture holding my buck, and it wasn't on purpose. I just had a cooler picture. I had a 4-wheeler on my pickup. Everything I've bought and paid for with the deer on the back of it. So I thought it was a cooler picture than my ugly mug. But
yeah.
I shot a basket rack, dude.
No,
It is small.
But there's nothing wrong with it. It's like whatever makes you happy. And I won't lie at all. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years ago, like, one of the places that I hunted, like the lady that I was hunting on, she was like, kill whatever walks out. And I'm like, whatever's legal. And little basket rack, like 8-point, got me just fired up like no other. I mean, every time I shoot a doe, like, it fires me up. Like, I sit
anytime
there.
I stop a beating heart, there's definitely like some crazy feeling.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you're taking life right there, I mean, is what. And
it's never like for us, it's never in vain. Like
no, and that's,
everything gets used.
and that's JJ's seen this weekend. Like, I mean,
short of playing the tom-toms with their femur bone.
Yeah.
I mean, every inch of meat on that animal. I mean, that's my favorite part about it is like the fellowship that comes with it. You go up to camp and you shoot a deer, and it doesn't matter what it is, but you cut the back straps out, the inner loins, and you throw them on the fire. And you and 3 or 4 other guys are standing there and drinking a nice cold pop and enjoying something that God gave you.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
that's like tonight after this. I've got tongue, I've got liver,
Yeah.
I've got heart, all ready for whenever I get.
He's a little more like
Well, you have
Grizzly
the,
Adams than I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah,
Like
you
last
have
year,
pulled
they,
out the fucking
buck
bone
nuts.
broth at the campfire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
man.
he
That shit
tried
was
this bone broth
great.
that we made.
Was it good?
Phenomenal,
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
So
Especially when you come out of the woods and it's colder than hell. You're like, oh yeah.
So before you get too weird, I'm going to tell all of the people listening, if you're going to try something on any animal, make it be the heart, because it has like just as much weight as like half a backstrap,
Yeah.
and that's essentially what it is. My buddy, our buddy Joe, got me to try it, and
Well, I'm the one that started him on all
he's gonna
that.
watch this. He's gonna watch this, so I'm gonna tread lightly here. I love you, Joe, but on some things he's a little different. And he got me to try heart at deer camp. We literally cooked it on a wood burning stove that we were using to keep the cabin warm in a bed of butter. After he had cut all the valves and stems and arteries out, cleaned it up, and made like little steak pieces. And I have never had like a ribeye that was that good. And so from that day forth, I was like, I'm gonna shoot every deer I ever shoot in the lungs because I'm never wasting a heart ever again.
Yeah.
It's that good. Now, that being said, like I said, he's a different guy, but this guy to my right, he's out there too. So last year at deer camp, I shot a buck. It was a good buck. I actually paid John McCannon out in Crestridge to mount him. But these dudes were like not wanting to waste anything. I was content. I was like, yeah, we got all the rib meat, got all the back straps, got all the neck meat, the roast steaks, we're good. And these knuckleheads were like, hey, I see the liver, kidneys, and testicles. I was like, you want them? Have at it.
Well, yeah, these guys were out
Tasty.
just pounding the deer. I'd already shot my deer, and so I'm sitting here back at deer camp, and I'm like, yeah.
Which we had
I'm
an
like,
awesome fire.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that fire pit?
oh yeah, we had
Joe
the
made a-
fire was going 24/7. I will
didn't
give it.
stop.
Yeah, I will give it to him on that.
Joe made a hell of a fire pit, like
And-
homemade.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and so I'm sitting there being camp chef. I got breakfast going. I got dinner going. Like
He
these
did,
guys.
man. He was a team player.
Yeah.
And it was the second weekend, so it's not quite as busy out in the woods the second weekend, but
Yeah, we only had like 10 people come roll through camp. I mean,
Chef Boyar Tristan, we had good breakfast, but I'll never forget. I was like, I took one of the tenderloins and I wrapped it in bacon. I seasoned it, and by the way, if you've never eaten deer, you do not have to wrap it in bacon. It's good without it.
and
But if you do it, it's the golden ticket.
Yeah.
So I had this bacon wrapped tenderloin, and these two dudes are over there like cutting stuff up and like pounding on, and I'm like, pardon my French, Mom, if you're watching, but I was like, what the fuck are they doing? I tagged out early in the morning, so I started drinking beer at 10:30. I got my hands bloody. I was like, yeah, time for a cold pop. And these guys over here like mashing the testicles, and I watched them eat them, and they were like, this is delicious. And I was like, yeah, it isn't.
well, it's
They
just
eat
the
the
Rocky
testes
Mountain
raw?
oysters in the woods.
No. They cooked them. You guys cooked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah,
cooked them.
no, we just
Tristan
cut
eats
it
them
right
raw.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liver
Like a
King.
mouse. Yeah, found a thing of baby mice in the duck blind one time. Be like,
But I'll be honest, like seeing my friends do that, like because
made you
it
feel less
started
of a
with
man.
heart. Like at heart, yeah. When it was heart, I was like, these guys are kind of fucking weird. I don't know. But then I tried it, and I was like, man, I need to like be open. And then I saw them do that, and I'm not sold yet. I'd have to see them eat some deer testicles like probably 3 or 4 more times before I would try it. But I've had Rocky Mountain oysters, and they're delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I've eaten beef heart from Chad quite a few times, but never deer heart.
It's like filet mignon. I mean, it really is. There's no fat.
Yeah.
I mean-
Did you save those or no?
No, like I said, like after one day, like the organ meat, we ran out of time. I was sitting there trying to butcher deer just left and right.
You didn't have any heart.
No, we had it, but
You know what I mean?
no. Well, we did, but just by the time, like,
Yeah.
you want to either like clean that organ meat and get it straight in the freezer, like if you're gonna freeze it. Otherwise, like within just a few hours, like after being out of that,
Yeah,
like
because those
beating
organs
in.
are filters for toxins and all the nasty
yeah,
stuff.
and I mean all that just goes and just kills it.
I was gonna save my heart for my buck opening morning, but I went all-American sniper Chris Kyle on him, and 200 yards, there was nothing left of it. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. Probably the best shot I ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was kind of upset. I was like, his rack is small and there's no heart. Can't eat the horns. What am I gonna have?
Man.
testicles, liver, tongue.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple years.
Yeah. So
When Steven Ranella eats them on Netflix, then I'll try it.
yeah.
He does.
Does he?
Yeah, that's where I got a little bit of that stuff. Like,
I know he made the whitetail ribs,
oh yeah,
and Joe did that at camp over that fire last year.
That's
Man, have you ever had deer ribs?
no, I saved
No, I
a
haven't.
set for him.
Yeah.
I would encourage
Gangster.
everybody to try it.
Yeah.
It-
Definitely
it's-
going
And that's
to.
the
It's
thing,
good.
like just being open about the stuff. Like you don't know till you try. Like
Mhm.
in all reality, you can pretty much eat just about anything and make it taste good one way or another. And
That's what Chad always says about dove hunting, is if you have to wrap it in a cream cheese jalapeno and put bacon all over it.
you don't even have
You
to
know.
do that though. Like,
I've heard they taste like liver.
nah,
I have never eaten
they're
them.
never
eaten
a
them.
dark meat. They're just like duck.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and I think duck tastes like the best prime cut beef you could ever have.
I think duck's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Let's hopefully
Especially
we make it
teal.
out this weekend.
Oh, teal.
Yeah.
Mondays are my office day, just to tell my boss. But
Yeah. So one last big question I got is, you love hunting, you love being outdoors. What's that feeling that you get when you step out and you're going to kill something in the morning? It's dark as fuck, maybe cold, but you're still out there. You still want to be there.
This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like that's all it comes down. This is home.
yeah, and I think the thing is you just don't know if you're going to kill something. You know, but,
no, and
but,
that's what makes it fun. Like I mean, that's what makes it enjoyable.
but regardless, we keep going back.
Yeah, and you're thankful. Like that. That's my big thing. If I came out of there and I wasn't thankful, I've had hunts that you don't see a damn thing. Like you don't even see a squirrel. Like and it's bad when you don't see a squirrel.
Yeah.
Like usually
Staring
you
at
got 50
tree
of
bark
them.
and leaves.
Yeah, sitting there and you're like, this sucks. But then you sit there and you realize you're like, man, I should have been thankful for that stuff because now I didn't even see a possum walk by or a squirrel or even when the bird, it's really bad. If you don't hear the birds going, you're like, it's about to be a bad day.
A bad day in the woods beats a good day in anything else. I've always said that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's why I said fuck my job.
And and I will live by that. There's a song by Larry Fleet called like Where I Find God, and I'm telling you, on my worst days, I've walked into the woods and came out not even remembering why I walked in there feeling so low.
Absolutely.
It's my church. It's my therapy. It's
time with yourself. Time to think.
Yeah.
Time to reflect.
Tonight I passed. I was cold the minute I walked in. Tonight I passed a really nice buck that I normally wouldn't have, and I still enjoyed every second I was out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's where anymore I get like just the passing. Like I'm passing deer, and granted, like anybody'd be happy with a lot of these deer that I pass, whatever. But like some of these deer, are really big deer, like and it's just I'm getting to that point in age, like 5 years ago, I absolutely would have been ecstatic, shot those.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, shit, 2 years ago I would have been, but I really like once I've killed the big deer and done so many hunts and. Now I'm just like, man, I just enjoy watching them. Like, and you never want to take a life. Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to. But the fact that life gives you life, like, and I mean, you've seen this weekend, like, I always say a prayer over, whatever animal
that's
you wind up
That's the
taking.
first thing I did at opening day of rifle season. I got down on my knees and I thank God.
I think that's where, like,
by myself.
In the hunting industry now, like everything's so hoard out, like that you just lose that. A lot of people lost that respect.
Yeah, they're product pimps is what I'd call it.
Exactly.
They're always looking to push something. And
Yep. Here,
not
let me
everybody.
show you.
Like I love the Heartland bow hunters. I think that's a group of guys that are doing it the right way.
No comment.
But
They probably will see this.
I know a couple of those guys. My mom's first husband does dirt work for Sean, and and Michael Hunsucker grew up right down the road.
Mm-hmm.
I watch those guys, and I see the work they put in, and then also the respect they have for the animals and the appreciation, and it's what excites me is when I turn on the Outdoor Channel or the Sportsman's Network, and I see something that's different, but for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I really like Steven Radella.
You want to talk about bringing a lot of people together? Like, I mean, even non-hunters, the amount of non-hunters that I know that have talked about it to me, they're like, man, I seen this on Netflix, and I'm like, holy shit. Well,
what was that? Not the Meat Eater show, but it was like The Stars in Our Sky or something. The documentary he had where he.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, you have to watch it. I would encourage anybody, whether you believe in hunting or not, go home and watch The Stars in Our Sky. It's a documentary by Steven Ranella where he goes to like interstate in New York. And
I have seen that.
And he basically sits down in front of all of these people who do not believe it. They hate it. They despise it. And he says, ask me questions. And at the beginning of it, you're like, feel sorry for that, dude. And by the end of it, the people are like so calm and understanding that they might still disagree, but they understand where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
In that hunters, most of us, because there are some unethical sons of bitches out there, and I despise them, but most of us, we're not just going out to like satisfy a kill urge or we're trigger happy. Yeah. We're not these psychopaths. We're conservationists. We're stewards of the land. We are regulating a population, and probably the most ethical way you can do it.
I mean, otherwise they're going to go and massacre them. I mean, they're going to poison them. They're going to massacre them. I mean, Steven Ranella had that podcast he talked about they're going in, like there's it's like a Hawaiian island. It's got mule deer on it.
Yep.
And they're going to go in, and they've allowed hunting before, and they shut it down, but now they're just going to go and massacre them all off. Like, why not open that up and make a revenue on that? And it's just, it all comes down to politics.
Yeah. Well, shit. That was the last question I had, but we had a pretty good weekend.
Real good weekend.
Maybe go over a little bit of that.
No, we were able to go up and hunt a farm that I'd never hunted before, but JJ has in his past, and family farm, and it was a great, big, beautiful place, and everybody was great. Showed great hospitality towards me, and it was pretty cool. Able to film a lot of stuff, and be able to harvest, do a lot of management on does, and take some pretty killer shots on that stuff. And we had our little snipers mound that we were able to just sit up there and pick them off. I told JJ, and is actually his idea. I just picked a different mound than what he was thinking. And I was like, man, we could see everything here, because problem was just dragging all that camera gear, dragging all our other gear, and climbing up a tree, setting up everything. It wasn't gonna. You'd have to get out there an extra 2 hours just to be able to get set up, and being able to just go back. And that's one of the things I've really, I how well I am on the mobile stuff.
Drives me nuts.
I mean, I like being able to hunt and get up, but going back to basics, man.
I like a ladder stand in the same tree for 15 years.
Yeah.
Him and Joe, hey, you need a saddle hunt. So I got a saddle this year. That's why I sat in tonight. They're right, but dude, I don't know if I'm just that lazy. I hate carrying shit in.
Well, the thing is, you don't really have to carry that much in. But we had a really good weekend. Ate a lot of good food.
Unless they're Little Debbie's, I'll carry those in all day. I got a backpack just for snacks.
Yeah, just a snack backpack. That's.
People are like, you have a beer belly? I'm like, I really don't drink very much. This is a Little Debbie belly, but
that's exactly.
It's a deer season belly.
Yep. I was like, man, why have I been gaining so much weight lately? I'm like, shit. And I'm pretty sure it's all the Dr. Pepper. I don't drink Dr. Peppers up until it's hunting season. Dr. Peppers, energy drinks.
My hairline is genetic.
Yeah.
My body type is deer season.
Yeah. You're like, then you work it off, and then turkey season hits. You're like, oh, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
By the time you finally start getting into somewhat all right shape by the end of the summer, and then you're like, oh, here comes deer season again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had a great fucking weekend. Thank you guys for hopping on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We'll do it again here soon. The last episode did well, especially on TikTok and across social media. We have a lot of comments, so thank you guys for chiming in on social media.
They're gonna
Happy
drag
Thanksgiving.
me.
We're very thankful for the deer that we took, that we get to feed our families with, and we'll wrap it up here. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate it.